Hi everybody, I'm Charles Hudson, I'm a partner at SoftTech. Glad to see so many faces here to talk about funding. I'm really lucky to have Ash from AngelList here, who's going to talk to us about syndicates. And also we were lucky enough to have Gil Pacina, who has, I just learned, 2 of the 10 largest syndicates on the AngelList Syndicates platform. And syndicates are a new thing. I personally, as a VC, am very curious in what the experience these 2 gentlemen have had is. And so we don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to jump right in. We're going to go back and forth between these 2. So Ash, you and I had a chance to chat yesterday. I'm really curious if we could just start off, for those who aren't familiar with AngelList, just talking briefly about AngelList and kind of the ethos of what you guys are trying to do in the fundraising ecosystem.
Yeah, I guess we're a general platform for networking for all sorts of early stage companies, mostly focused in tech. About 300,000 companies on AngelList, and at any one time, about 10% of them will be actively fundraising. And that's what we spend most of our time working on in terms of as a product team. And one of those products is Syndicates, and that is sort of how the word's been used for hundreds of years, is it's exactly that online. You get groups of people bundling up or banding together and then investing in a company behind someone who's leading that syndicate. So that's what it is. We launched about 9 months ago and have done like well into the tens of millions of dollars through it. And well over 100 companies have gone through it.
And can, just so people understand, can you just walk through sort of the mechanics of how a syndicate works, both for the lead and for the backers?
Yeah, so Gil will go out there and say, I'm building a syndicate, do you want to be in all my deals? And he'll go and tell friends and whatever contacts, and other people will just find it on AngelList, and they'll say, okay, I'll back you, 10 grand for your next 10 deals. And then he'll build that up, and then he'll go, okay, I've got the deal. This is the deal, I'm charging this much carry, I'm getting this much of an allocation, say $500,000. And all those backers automatically get into that deal. They can pull out if they want on a deal by deal basis. He'll leave it open for a couple of days. In his case, it's usually open for about 30 seconds, and then it fills up. But sometimes it's a couple of weeks. And then they close all of that investment online. Gil decides that when he thinks he's got enough money for that company and feels his allocation is happy with it, picks and chooses, works with the founder to select who's in the deal, and then they all commit their money, sign their docs and everything online, and the company just receives 1 check and has 1 entry on their cap table.
And for AngelList, what was the impetus for creating syndicates?
Yeah, it's just something, as I said, that's been going on for a really long time, and that is groups of people banding together to invest in a company. And so what's really happening there? It's a bunch of people networking and like-minded investors getting behind these companies. And what is networking? Well, networking is sort of an information science. Like, where does networking work best? On the internet. And so it's much easier to get the right people in the right groups and match the right investors to each other and then leads to companies and everything else if the network of people to choose from is massive, is in hundreds of thousands of companies. And so we just saw an opportunity to do it better because it's online.
I just add one thing to that. As a former internet CEO, when I had 19 angels who had to sign paperwork every time I did another round, it was just a huge pain in the ass, and it really makes you wonder whether or not to let somebody in for $25,000, let alone for $1,000. Like, I have friends, and I would have friends who would say, hey, can I join in? I'd love to put $1,000 in that. And there's no way I would call a CEO and ask them, hey, can we generate a bunch of legal paperwork and bullshit so that my friend can put $1,000 in? And so they really automated an existing behavior in a very efficient way.
Awesome. And Ash, one of the other things we touched on previously was, I think when I think about what AngelList has really done to the financing landscape, there's 2 areas where I think you guys have had a big impact. One is that cost structure and fees of what it takes to get a deal done. I think the other is just generally unbundling. Unbundling advice from capital and unbundling sort of other elements of venture financing. Can you talk a little bit more about longer term, how you guys think about sort of fees, unbundling, bundle transactions, all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could look at what's happening in venture now and think about it as unbundling. What do I mean by that? Well, when a VC comes to you as a founder, what do they give you? They're giving you capital, so they've gone out to a whole bunch of LPs and pension funds and whatnot, and got them all to give them money to invest in your company. They're giving you great advice, they've probably helped a few companies succeed before, and in exchange they want control of your company, they want to own some of it. And what we're trying to do is just make every part of that a little bit easier. Making it easier for Gil to go out there and get LPs just by putting a tweet out saying I've got a syndicate, and making that part, and if that's easy for him, then he's got a lower cost structure. all the back office and whatnot for putting those LPs together as well is a lot lower. He's able to merchandise himself better in that he's able to show this is the sort of advice I can give. He's able to show his track record, the companies he's helped, collect recommendations, all that sort of stuff. And because his cost structure is lower, and because he hasn't had to go out there and like do a whole bunch to get this investment vehicle together that he can make some money from, then he's going to like demand a little bit less control. Also on the control side, by having all the terms and everything online and up there for scrutiny by anyone, you know, we're sort of forcing on the market a lot more transparency, which usually leads to fairer terms for the entrepreneurs. So, you know, we come at it from the startups perspective. AngelList is out there to help startups, and we think that by making this capital bundling, helping, you know, leads merchandise their ability to give advice better, they'll demand less control from founders, and at the end of the day, it's better for founders.
So I want to switch to Gil for a moment. I mean, Gil, you've had a great angel track record. In historical times, the path was angel, start your own institutional VC fund, maybe grow it. Why did you decide to go the Syndicates route as opposed to raising, you know, Gil Ventures and going out and getting $10 or $20 million from LPs?
It's a very simple answer. I looked at starting my own, I looked at joining others, and there's three things about being a VC that I found really unattractive: accountants, lawyers, and LPs. I mean, you spend an inordinate amount of time talking to people I don't like. And it's not that they're bad people, they're lovely people. They just are really into process and details, and as an entrepreneur, I'm into sort of vision and ignoring all the details, so I really couldn't, like, emotionally do it. And this is, you know, I mean, frankly, everyone here in the room should go home tonight and start a syndicate, because all you do is click a button and call a few friends, and all of a sudden you're like a virtual VC. I mean, why wouldn't you?
And what have we learned just, you know, as a VC myself, we spend a lot of time talking to our limited partners, provide them with reporting. They're pretty sophisticated folks, so they know what to expect. But I'm curious about what you've learned from reporting or keeping your backers in the loop. Are they high maintenance people? Are they easy to deal with?
It's a good question. So my main fund, which is now up to $3.9 million per deal, when I write a check for $10,000, which I find kind of a crazy concept, has about 450 people, most of whom are basically silent. But you get these fantastic moments. We were doing a deal, and I get this email from this German guy on AngelList who's a PhD, apparently according to his title on AngelList. It's very important in Germany to be a PhD for some reason. And he says, "This is very interesting. I have like 3 pieces of information." He goes, "I would like detailed financials for the last 2 years. I would like to see the investment memo, and I would like to spend an hour on the phone with the founder to sort of understand his vision." I'm running a $3.9 million fund where the $10,000 guy wants to spend an hour of the CEO's time to get all this data. On the other hand, I've been an angel, like, you do want to like understand what the hell you're investing in. So I wrote him back and I said, "Look, as an angel, I completely understand these are all very reasonable things to ask for. However, as a member of the syndicate, you are unfortunately trusting me, and so my answers are no, no, and no. But you should feel free to like pass. I'm not asking you to invest in this. In fact, we're like 12 times oversubscribed for this $300,000 deal. So like, feel free to say no. I totally understand if this is too risky for you," which of course makes him want to do it more.
And as you see across the land, not everyone is syndicate is as large as Gil's. How are people thinking about using syndicates? Are they using them as stepping stones to become sort of VC training wheels? Are they using it as a way to get around, like Gil's doing, the confines of a fund structure? What's your sense for the market is today?
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of use cases. I mean, a bunch of people are already doing deals, and this is just a really easy way for them to get paid for them and get some carry on that, because they have an amazing deal flow. Either they're a professor at a university, or they've been a successful entrepreneur before, or whatever, and they should be getting paid for sourcing and helping these companies. So people are already doing it, but they're now getting paid. VC funds actually are using it to leverage up their seed programs, or to syndicate big pro ratas that they don't want to take 100% of. That's another use case for VCs that's sort of interesting. And in terms of as a stepping stone to a fund, I haven't seen that yet, and I don't really expect to see that, for all the reasons Gil mentioned. Like, you know, There are a lot of things about it which make it a lot better than starting your own fund. You don't have to go out and raise a fund, you don't have to deal with all the reporting, hire people, all that sort of stuff. Doing it deal by deal is better for the LPs and also better for the leads, I think.
And I'd be curious to hear from both of you. I mean, talking about just allowing the syndicate lead to set carry, or set the carried interest, the portion that they're going to take above and beyond sort of the capital invested, is a pretty novel idea and venture. I'm curious to hear how you both, Gil, how you think about setting carry on your deals, and Ash, why you guys went in that direction.
See, is this one? Oh, it's working. So being a tech entrepreneur and being given the chance to set carry, I immediately started A/B testing. So my first 3 deals had 0 carry, 15% carry, and 20% carry. And my stated norm at the time was 15. And I was just curious to find out, like, what would happen. As I'm sure every actual VC knows, no one cares what your carry is. So I got great response on all 3 of them. And the only thing that happened was when I varied from the norm, I got lots of questions. Why are you giving 0? Why are you giving 20? Why aren't you giving 15? And so I realized I just have to pick a number. So I immediately said, well, shit, if it doesn't matter, I'll pick 20. And then the AngelList guys yelled at me and said I was being greedy, so I went back down to 15, which it was actually the right answer. There's no need to be greedy early. You should really underprice early, like any good entrepreneurial startup. You want to have as many advantages as you can. And like I actually, to Ash's point about people starting VC funds, I'm going to start a VC fund on AngelList. And so I'm having meetings now with funds of funds and pension funds and telling them to back my syndicate rather than backing my fund. And so being able to say, we have lower fees and we've gotten into deals with Google Ventures and Andreessen and Founders Fund and all these other cool people is like a good marketing calling card for these scared funds of funds who are wondering what the hell they're doing talking to me.
Yeah, we let people set carry because we don't let them charge management fees. And we wanted to see what that meant to them, as in what they needed in terms of carry, given that they weren't charging any management fees. Also because it's just a way to do some demand-based pricing. And you'll see more of that over time, but it's reverted to what the status quo is. It's reverted to 20% for most syndicators, and that's deal by deal carry, so that is different to getting carry, to being charged carry across a fund. So in terms of fund carry, it represents a slightly different number, and there's a bit of math behind that. But yeah, it's just reverted to 20%, and I think people are just comfortable with that. I think it's fair.
I'm curious for both of you, who's providing today, I get a sense for where you're going, Gil, but today who's providing the majority of the capital to back syndicates? Is it individuals, is it institutions? Can you give us a sense for sort of who's leaning in hardest on this?
I mean, I've talked to, in some fashion or other, almost everyone of the 600 between the 2 syndicates, and it's almost all people. There's a handful of fund VCs who are chipping in a little money. AngelList has a couple of funds, which you should talk about, but by and large, it's everyone from internet CEOs to a dentist in the Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, across AngelList, our name does us a bit of a disservice here. It's basically 50-50 in terms of angels and institutional capital. So that's broadly in terms of the membership of AngelList. Going into syndicates, it skews a little bit more towards angels, and they can represent anything from a successful entrepreneur or like someone who's at a big corporate and has made a bunch of money, or people with sort of more normal professions. But institutional investors are going into syndicates as well. It's a great way for them to experiment, to get access to a lot of early stage deals and get a little bit of information about what's happening there, and then as these companies take off, then they'll step in and try and get access to their later rounds.
So in 5 years, do you guys think we'll have $20, $25 million VC funds in the traditional sense?
We've got one now. It's called Maiden Lane. Yeah.
We've got several. Please do.
Yeah, I mean it's not part of AngelList. It's a totally separate entity, but it's a $25 million fund, and I expect another version of it, maybe not started by people from Atlas as that one was, but by anyone, about 10 times bigger than that very soon. And it's a normal venture fund. It just almost exclusively invests in syndicates in terms of its first check into a company. So it's just a very highly leveraged seed fund, basically. What it's leveraging there is AngelList.
And I guess my perspective is, if you have a $25 million fund, you're actually going to make 8 $1 to $2 million investments with some follow-on money reserved. I can make 8 $4 million investments this year. So I kind of have a $50 to $100 million fund entirely by accident already, and I'm literally sitting here trying to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do with it.
He's been doing just fine, so.
So we've got a few minutes left. I could talk for everybody. I wonder if there's some audience questions for these folks. I imagine there are. So rather than hog the time, I think I'll take it from the audience if that's okay.
So what access do the founders get to those members of the syndicate for advice, mentorship, engagement?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, according to the software, none. There's no interface to let you do it. You can send a note to your investors if you're a founder and you have a bunch of investors. So that there's a communication vehicle there. I'm actually working on buying community building software that will let all 600 people chat amongst themselves and then invite the investors in. And with the first use event we've had is UXBin, which is one of the investments. They released an ebook about design, and they're a design-centric company. And so I actually just emailed all 600 people in the syndicate. I'm like, could you all please put this up on Twitter and Facebook and like help us shill this to as many people as possible. I put job postings up to all 600, and so I'm looking to try to find some software to help automate some of that.
Yeah,
I have an email list of all of them. I don't know if I'm legally allowed to share it with the founder, but I'm happy to forward anything from the founder.
Yeah, technically founders don't have to engage and like give detailed like private information to members of the syndicate. So the founders are always protected in that way. They don't have to worry that there's like a competitive investor in the syndicate. However, they can choose to engage with those investors one by one. They're given the full list, they have discussion boards, all that sort of stuff.
Hi, I'm Brian Zisk. I'm having fun with AngelList so far. My question, which I had before you alluded to it, you talk about all the legal and the accounting and all that comes with a traditional fund. But if you run a syndicate, besides the work of bringing the people in, how much work is there on the legal? Well, I know we can hear, I'd love to hear from him, but also from somebody who has done it. How much work on an ongoing basis is it to run a syndicate besides just pulling in the money?
I am incredibly lazy, so I do no work, and I let them do all of it. I'll let him.
Yeah, this short answer is none. We, this is all the boring stuff, but we do all the regulatory filings, the legal work, the tax work, and whatnot. I mean, the lead negotiates the terms and the financing documents, but in terms of the fund level stuff, that's all done by us. Or our back office, I should say. Way in the back.
I don't really like it. So, Gil, if I wanted, how do I engage with you in the syndicate? How do I pitch you?
So this being the internet, AngelList has an email system, and you can reach me through that, and I'm probably on Facebook and Twitter, and easy to find because I have a really weird spelled name, so.
Kutlu from Istanbul. Going forward, do you think there will be more platforms like AngelList vertically focused, or do you think that will organize under AngelList, or AngelList will be kind of like eBay and just like a global platform? How do you see this evolving?
Yeah, look, there's significant scale with back office stuff, so that's the boring part. But as I started out with, like in being on a network, and the bigger the network, the better it is for everyone, as long as there's some good defaults there. So I'm really excited to see a lot of vertical funds or like groups on AngelList. You know, Gil's already started a SaaS one, we've got a drone one. I think that should all sort of be built on AngelList, because to go out and like create your own platform and get you thousands of investors and whatever else it's sort of just like starting a VC fund. Anyway, all I'm saying is there are network effects for everyone to take advantage of, and we're super open, and anyone can create profiles, anyone can build things on top of AngelList with the API, anyone can start a syndicate, and I think that benefits everyone in the long run if they're all in one place.
So I'm probably even more expansive than they are, because I don't have to deliver on the promise. promises. So I don't view it as an angel funding mechanism. I'm leading my first A round. I'm trying to get $500,000 into a D round. I offered to buy common from somebody and they weren't super excited about that quite yet, but we're gonna have a conversation about it. Right, like I view this as a mechanism for a group of people to come together and collectively invest in a thing.
Yeah.
Which, you know, when you think of it that way, it could be, you know, anything including apartment complexes.
I wish I could stay up here all day, but I promised Nathan that I would try to keep us on schedule. So I apologize, we have to wrap the session up. Guys, this has been great. Let's give him a round of applause.